Hello. Picked up some books. I don't know if anybody wants to talk books. Wearing my alien shirt. Alien guy, if you're here, let me know. If you want to talk alien, talk anything. Person who's here, say what you want to say. Say anything. I can start showing off the books I got. Carrie, early paperback. It's for the musical, I believe. Picked up some John Ringo stuff. I like John Ringo a lot. I've been reading through right now I'm actually reading through Him Before Battle, which is a really good like alien invasion kind of story, and this is pretty similar. I think this is a standalone. Most of his stuff he writes is in a series, but most of these were free. Hello, two people. Going through my books I picked up at a library sale the other day. Picked up a Carrie. This is actually a pretty sought after edition. It's from a musical. I think they did a musical of Carrie, I guess. Don't worry, I picked up sci-fi. Got plenty of sci-fi. John Ringo. Boom. Alien Invasion. You gotta love it. Picked up another John Ringo. Gus Front. This is book two. I'm reading book one of this right now, which is Him Before Battle. Good, really good, like alien invasion stuff. And have not read this. I've heard really good things. Way of Kings. Brandon Sanderson picked this up for this was like $1, I think. So heard really good things about this one. Haven't read any Brandon Sanderson yet. I know he's all the rage right now. Picked up some more Bane stuff. This is Monster Hunter International. Heard good things. I like monster hunting books. Whoops. Oh man. Just tore that. I'm gonna have to tape. I'm gonna have to tape that. Uh-oh. Oh well. It's in pretty rough shape. Pretty beat up. But this kind of I've heard this is kind of sort of like a I know what you want to call it, like an X-Files sort of thing. Except he's like a monster hunter. So more John Ringo. I already had this in paperback. We don't have to talk about this. We can talk about something else. People that are coming and leaving. Oh man. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that. Anyway, we don't have to talk about books. We can talk about other things. I'm just doing this to, you know, get things going here. John Ringo is an author I like. Writes really good sci-fi, military sci-fi. Or John Ringo. Snow crash. The guy that joined. Snow crash. I've not read it. Like Cyberpunk, haven't read it yet. Come up with some questions of things you want to ask people. David Eddings, hardback. I like David Eddings. I've read the Belgariad. Have not read the Memorian yet. This is book one of the Memorian. I started it. Haven't gotten that far into it. Coming back to it. I'm reading some sci-fi right now. I'll go through this again. Brandon Sanderson. Have not read yet. Have not read any Brandon Sanderson yet. Brad Thor. I got that at Dollar General actually. One for Red October. Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. Hang on one second. I'll be right back. Yeah, Billy. I don't know if you're still here. I've heard good things. Have not read it. I've not read any Brandon Sanderson. You guys will like this. Here, boom. There you go. First edition. Signed. These were all free. The rest of these were free. But I haven't read any of her books yet. Billy, if you're still here, let me know. It sounded kind of interesting. It's a vampire book. Progeny. Ever heard of it? I got this because I like Knights Templar stuff. Look kind of interesting. It's about the Knights Templar. It's a fictional thing. And then I've heard of this author, Steve Erickson. He writes sci-fi and different things. And then I picked this up because I've been kind of collecting Anne Rice books. And then this is Douglas Preston, who I've seen the movie of The Relic. I have not read any of his books, any of Preston Child books. Again, these were all free. These were all completely free. The Preston and Child, kind of techno thriller kind of book. Yeah, Tom Clancy, Under Fire. I have this in paperback. Don't have this in hardback yet from till now. And then I know there was a guy in here last time talking about Bourne stuff. This is one of the Bourne continuation novels. Bourne Initiative. I have Bourne Legacy, so now this is the second continuation Bourne novel that I have. And then this look interesting. This is actually a zombie. This is a zombie book. Zone One. Never heard of it. Never heard of the author. I don't know. Cover just looked interesting, and I've kind of flipped through it, and it's like, oh, it's about zombies. So always looking for zombie books. Oh, somebody left. And then here we go. Here's Dan Simmons. Abominable by Dan Simmons. I like The Terror, the TV show. Have not read any of his books. I have Hyperion. I have not read it yet. Need to read it. And we got a couple fantasy novels. I've heard of this author, and I have heard of this series, but I've never read it, and it looked kind of interesting. The Golden Princess. I think it's like sci-fi, or it's sort of sci-fi fantasy. It's like future. I think it's supposed to be. It's in the U.S. like 400 years in the future or something. Because there's like a U.S. map in the first couple of pages here. Oh. Then I got Terry Goodkind. Have not read any Terry Goodkind, but pretty sure these are standalone. I might leave this. I don't know nobody's here. I'm talking to myself right now, but if anybody's read Terry Goodkind, this was free. I didn't have to pay for this. I haven't read any of I've not read any of his books, but I'm intrigued. I'm always looking for new fantasy to read. I know this is part of a series, but I'm pretty sure these are standalone. Pretty sure these can be read standalone. So Pick that up. This I got at a thrift store for $1. I've just been showing off, and this was a buck. Got that. Actually, I got that at a thrift store for $1, and I've not read any Brandon Sanderson. Lost two people again. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm muted. Sorry, one person. If you want to, oh, These. Forgot I own these. The Jedi versus Sith comics. I think these were written before the Bane books, I believe. Yeah, 2001. So yeah, these predate the Bane books. I think that's supposed to be Darth Bane. Pretty sure that's Darth Bane, right? Somebody, pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure that's him. Can't remember who that is. I haven't read this in a while. I know this causes some problems, like continuity problems with the Dark Forces books, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, did these ever get reprinted? I don't know. I don't know if these ever got reprinted. I don't think Disney's reprinted these yet. I think these are kind of expensive. I remember looking these up like a year or two ago, and these are expensive because I don't think these ever got reprinted. I mean, they're in a trade, I'm sure, but yeah, I got these all out of a dollar bin back in I don't even know, probably 4 or 5 years ago. I got all the Thrawn comics too. I got all those out of a dollar bin. I remember even at the time those were like $20, $30 books. Well, oh yeah, oops. Yeah, I have not read it yet, but I've heard good things. I'm looking forward to reading it. Billy, I don't even know if you're here anymore. Nephilim 379. Nice comics. I've been slowly going through Legends comics in the Epic collection. Yeah. We already kind of talked about that. Thank you for doing these audiobooks. They're great. I'm really enjoying listening. No problem. I enjoy doing them. So I'm glad. No problem at all. I enjoy doing it. So yeah. Man, I don't know. I think I got this out of a dollar bin too. I think. I think I got that out of a dollar bin. I have the Boba Fett one too, I think. But and then I always like to show this off. I don't know, I've already shown it off, but the hardback of Fall of the Sith Empire, which is pretty hard to come by. I think it's a library. I don't even know. Did this get a regular hardback? I don't think it did. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think this is a library printing, but I don't care. It's cool. It's paw prints. So I'm not sure what that means. It's probably a library printing. I have some library printings. I almost bought oh man, I was on eBay and there was a library printing of one of the X-Wing books and they wanted way too much for it. They wanted like $100 or something. I almost bought it, but man, that's a lot of money for a paperback book that's just been rebound or whatever. This is library. I've got a few library bindings. That's all I'm. This is a library binding. That's a turtleback. Yeah, it's even got the discard thing in it. 1 person. If you want to say something, go ahead. Don't mean to single you out. Can ask a question or not. Do I collect library editions? Not specifically, no, but I'll if I can find them at a decent price, I'll buy them. Like I said, just most people won't usually want too much for them, but they're sought after. Some of them are sought after, like those X-Wing, because those never got hardbacks. There's only fan. You can get fan printing hardbacks of those, but those never got hardbacks. The library ones are the closest you can get to like an official, semi-official hardback. But I'll collect them. Yeah, I mean, if I find them at a thrift store, like this one, this was at a thrift store. That was at a thrift store. So yeah, I think I paid like $1 for those. So if it's reasonably priced, I'll buy it. So I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't have. I've got some other ones in boxes. Trying to think of what else I have. I've only got a couple other ones. I should have probably. There was one. There was one I found at the thrift store for the science fiction book club editions. Yeah. Yep. Those are not library editions. That's a totally different thing. I don't think the science fiction book club's even around anymore. But they would reprint paperbacks and hardbacks. Like that's what this is. My Corellian trilogy. My Corellian trilogy is a science fiction book club. It's on the side, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, I think it's Guild America, but it's the same. It's the same thing. Thanks. On the side there. And then, well, I know for sure one of them right here. I know 100% for sure this one is. Hang on. My Dark Nest. Yeah, that science fiction book club. And these are becoming sought after. Like this is like $100 now. I bought this. I got this dirt cheap. I got this at a book fair for like $5. But this is like $100 book now, I think, at least. Give or take 80 to 100, I think. Last time I looked. Because yeah, you can't get these in paperback or in hardback, except for the book clubs. Boom. It's a really nice copy too. It's really, 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 really nice. I don't think it's ever even read. It's in really good shape. Got that at a book fair. Got that at a book fair, $5. I don't even know if I paid that much. Let's see. I got more. Um, you can get a lot of them. There's a few you can get cheap, like the Giant Academy trilogy you can get pretty cheap, and even my what do you call it? My Crowley trilogy, I only paid I think like $10 for it. Yeah, no, I was stoked. I was at this was actually it was it last year? I think it might have been last year. It was either last year or the year before. I was at a book fair. And yeah, I was head over heels because I knew that was like $100 book. And you know what's funny? You're gonna hate me for this, but I actually had found it before. So it wasn't my first copy of it. I'd found another copy at a bookstore, but it was in really rough shape. It was in really bad shape. So I sold it and basically that paid yeah. I got like I think 50, $60 for it because it was in pretty rough shape. But then I was kind of because I found the paperbacks. I was like, I'll just keep the paperbacks, and then I ended up finding that one like a couple years later. So it all worked out. I was able to get it back. So yeah, that one's in way better shape. I don't even think it was red. Like I said, it looks basically brand new. So um, I think I picked up a couple other Bantam books I didn't have hardbacks of. I had them paperback. I had trying to think of what I got. I think my Crystal Star actually I got at that book fair because it's basically brand new. Yeah, it's like brand new. 'Cause I had to replace I had a copy of this I got at a thrift store that was in really rough shape, and I ended up I don't know what I did with it, I think I just gave it to somebody 'cause it was in pretty rough shape. This is basically brand new. I don't even think it was red. Like I said, there's no creases or anything. So it's like it's in really I know it's Crystal Star, but it's in really, really good shape. It's funny, most of my hardbacks are, like, in awesome shape, and my paperbacks are a lot of my paperbacks are in pretty rough shape. Like, here, my Children of the Jedi is in pretty close to mint. It's not quite mint, but it's pretty close. I mean, I think it's been read. I mean, I read it, but I think it maybe was read once by the previous owner, and it's just that's the thing that happens too is the bubbling. You get some bubbling that when they get real old, I notice I've got a few that are starting to do that. The lamination's starting to come off. If you can, I don't know if you can tell in the video there, but yeah, lamination's starting to come off. So I don't know. Said I'm gonna maybe replace this at some point if I can find a better copy of it. I look out for them because I go to thrift stores and use bookstores a lot. So most of my NJO, pretty much all my entire NJO, I got at thrift stores, and like used. There was one guy. There was an antique store near me where I used to live, and he would get books in. Like he would buy out um, storage lockers. And what he would do is he would just go through and like I think he would pick things, but he didn't really. He told me I don't care about books. He's like I just throw books in my booth, and he's like you'll find some things. And he found some really good things. I found a first edition Never Ending Story, and that's like a $500 book, and I paid like a buck for it. So the oh nice you showed the dust jackets. Oh yeah, I always keep dust jackets. Yeah. You know what's funny? Star Wars books, I don't usually have trouble. Like, pretty much every Star Wars book I've ever bought always had a dust jacket. I find other books all the time, like even fantasy and like there's other books I find they a lot of times they don't have dust jackets. But Star Wars books always seem to have dust jackets for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I guess Star Wars people are just more careful with their books for some reason. But yeah, like all my NJO books I got from that guy, and this one's got. I might try to replace this at some point because it's got a little bit of a scratch there, but um yeah, this when I first started really, really hardcore collecting, I got really lucky because he would just he'd get Star Wars books pretty consistently, and I paid like I think like 2, $3 a piece for them, and that's where I got all my NJO hardbacks was from him. And these are starting to get a little hard to find, like first prints of NJO books are starting to get a little hard to find. Not like crazy hard to find or anything, but they're still relatively easy to find, but they're getting a little sought after. Like I think all my hardbacks I got from him, and then like I said, a lot of the Bantam stuff I got from him, and then a lot of them are just from thrift stores and different places I went in my travels. Let's see, the Young Jedi Knights I got lucky with. That one I got on eBay. I got really lucky with that one because it didn't have a picture or anything. So let's see. Do you feel like interest in NJO is increasing? Yes, I do. I think overall, it's funny. I think overall, like expanded universe stuff, interest is increasing because, and I've said this before. I've talked with different people. I used to be like on the other side of the camp where, like, I was like, oh, hate the Disney's, like, doing all this. They're just doing the cliff notes. Just ripping stuff from I don't call it Legends. I call it expanding universe, but whatever. Ripping stuff from expanding universe. I'm mad. It ticks me off but the silver lining of that is it's made people more aware of it because people go like in The Mandalorian, they used the Dark Forces stuff, like the Dark Troopers. Um, they use that plot line. So people Google that stuff. People look at people go, well, what are these guys? Who is this? And then they go, oh, it's from some old video game or some old book or whatever, and it generates interest in that. That's the kind of silver lining all this stuff and like yeah, and like you said, NJO, Disney's using that. I mean, I'm a little less happy about that because I think they're literally just taking the name because they're not doing the Vong. They are not doing the Vong storyline. I would eat my own hat if they were eat my own hair, whatever, however you wanna say it, if Disney did that. But hey, just the fact that they're using NJO, people are New Jedi Order, people are gonna Google that and go, "Oh, there's a book series. Oh, this is cool," and they're gonna look this they're gonna maybe that'll get them interested in the expanded universe and the old canon. So that's kinda how I'm looking at it. I'm trying to be positive about it. I used to get mad. I used to be a grumpy old, fart or whatever, and I used to get mad about it. Um, but, I'm trying to be more positive. I'm hoping that it's gonna get people more interested in the EU, in the old canon and stuff. Um, so, yes, I think gradually, very slowly, but I think it is. Yes, that's my answer. Yeah, I have a hard time imagining Disney fully adapting. No, they're not. Yeah, they're not gonna. They're not gonna. They're gonna like. I mean, they will maybe like at best. I see them maybe making little token references, or like maybe just hinting at the Vong are out there, like at best, and that's being really generous. I don't even think they'll do that because don't doesn't New Canon has their own version of the Vong. They're called something else, and they're like the PG version of them, but they have their own version of them. So if they're gonna do anything like that, they'll use them. I doubt they'll use the actual Long. I don't see it. I really especially Disney, no, I don't see it. They would have to have some cojones, and I don't see them doing it. And even if they do, it's gonna be totally different. It's not gonna be our story, the expanded universe version of it, so it might as well be its own thing. Are you looking forward to Ahsoka? Oof. You know what? I don't mean to make you mad. I'm still on the fence about Ahsoka. I've talked about this a lot because people ask me about it a lot. Um, I don't know, man. I'm just man, I think I hate to say this, but I think I'm done with Disney canon, at least for now. I don't know. I don't have a problem with Ahsoka as a character. I really don't. I just don't. I was pretty disappointed with Kenobi. I was kind of hoping, like, even Mandalorian too. Mandalorian, like, oof, really has dropped the ball. I just they I felt like they were kinda Mandalorian season 1 and even part of season 2, most of season 2, I felt like, "Oh, okay, like, we're getting it back. We're actually gonna have good Star Wars again," and then they just totally dropped the ball, just totally. Um, I don't know. I mean, it'd be cool to see Thrawn and but it's not my Thrawn, though. It's a different it's the Disney Thrawn. It's not I don't know. Even if they do some stuff from the Thrawn trilogy, it's just gonna be totally different. I don't know. So I'm not sure. I'm still on the fence, Kyle. If you're at if that's what to answer your question, I'm on the fence. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'm not not looking forward to it, but I'm not really looking forward to it either at the same time. I'm not sure how to feel about it. If I have mixed feelings, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just ugh, man. I've been burned. I've been Disney's kind of been burning me. I felt like like I said, I felt like they were kind of getting it back. I felt like they were kind of sort of getting it back there for a while there. Mandalorian season 1 was great. Oh man, it was great. And then even season 2, and then, I don't know. I just don't know. I just feel like they're dropping the ball again. I don't know. I worry about how they'll handle Thrawn too. Yeah, that's just how I feel. I don't know. I just don't ugh, I don't know. I'm very, very cautious on that. I'm not sure. I'm really, really, really worried. I'm not. I'm, and that's the funny thing. I'm not even a huge Thrawn fanboy. I'm not. I like Thrawn. I do. I think he's really cool. I like him. I think he's awesome. But I'm not one of those hardcore Thrawn dudes. I'm not. And even I'm worried. So I can't even imagine how like the hardcore Thrawn dudes are. They're probably like really like they're probably just completely disavowing it, like completely ignoring it. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm just worried it's gonna be the PG version. I don't want the PG Thrawn. I just don't want that. So I completely agree if the first episode isn't good, I'm not wasting my time. Yeah, yeah. But see, you gotta be careful with that too because they do that, like, that's how Kenobi got me. Kenobi, because I thought Kenobi started off really strong. I thought Kenobi started off really strong there, and then it just totally just imploded, and it got boring so fast. Oh my god, it got boring really quick. I don't know. It just so you gotta be careful with that too, because that even if that first episode's good, I'll probably just watch, like, clips of it. I'm not even I just don't have time, really, honestly. I don't have time. I've got so much stuff I'm doing. I'm doing so many things right now. I probably will just watch clips of it. Like, it would be I mean, that's kinda where I'm at with Star Wars right now. I hate to say it. I've said this before on one of the last streams. I just like, if I wanna interact with Star Wars, I would just rather read a book. I just rather read the old canon. The show is basically just the new shows, like the Disney stuff is just it's the novelty of it. The novelty is nice. It's nice to see star lightsabers and see ships blowing up and, see Thrawn and, some characters that we like, but it's just I don't mean to be a bummer. I know I just lost 2 people because of that, but I don't mean to be like a bummer, but I can't it's just man, it's just so different. It feels so different. The Disney stuff just feels different. It doesn't feel like my Star Wars. I hate to say that. I know that's kind of like a stupid, like kind of cringy thing to say, but it doesn't feel like my Star Wars. Sorry. I mean, yeah. I'm not a grumpy old coot about it, but anyway, I think I'm gonna wait until the full show is out. Yeah, that's kind of sort of what I'm gonna do, I think. I might watch clips of it. And I like, what Mads Mikkelsen, I think is his name, right? He's a great actor, and I think he could be a great Thrawn. That's not the problem at all. It has nothing to do with him, or I think he can be great. It just doesn't. I'm just so worried. Disney just does not have a good track record. They are just so hit or miss, and mostly miss, in my opinion. They're like stormtroopers. They miss mostly, and then sometimes they get lucky, and they hit something. That's kind of how I feel like. To put it in a Star Wars analogy, I just feel like that's kind of how they are. What was the topic? We're talking about, I don't know, a lot of different things, but I think Ahsoka sort of. I don't know. I really don't want to talk about Ahsoka that much, but if you want to change the subject, I go. So this should be my guess because I'm every stream. I think the past like not maybe not every single stream, but most of the streams I've done, somebody always asks me about Ahsoka, and I'm just like, ugh. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know. I'm very disgruntled. And yeah, and they people with Mandalorian season 2, people were like, "Oh, man, their Star Wars is back. They brought Luke, Luke's back," and it wasn't a it's that's not enough for me. I'm still disgruntled. I'm sorry, that wasn't enough. Just a CGI of Luke was not enough. I mean, sorry, like, if you're one back that easy, you were never really a fan and to me. Like, I shouldn't say that, that's kind of a jerky thing to say, but like, if you're that easily impressed, that doesn't undo all the crap they did. That doesn't undo it. Even just even putting the EU aside, it doesn't undo all the stuff they did in the new trilogy. Sorry, but on top of that, getting throwing that out in the garbage on top of it is icing. The icing on the crap cake for me. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. But that goes fish. If you want to change the subject or whatever, be my guest. I'm with you on that feeling completely after what they did to my favorite character, Boba Fett. Oh god, yeah. Oh my god. Oh man, I probably talk about that a little more. Oh man, yeah, that was disappointing. Ugh, that was even worse than Obi-Wan. I think that was worse. Obi-Wan like was kind of boring, but it wasn't like they didn't dump on the character. Like I don't know. They just oh man, Boba Fett. Yeah, that was a blur. I can't even remember. Like, oh, yeah, they just kinda he was just like a loser, like, he was sort of like a loser, he just, like I mean, well, I don't know, some of it that's the thing, it was so inconsistent. It was like the parts when he was with the Tusk I liked, okay, him getting out of the pit and then, like, being kinda brought, training with the Tusken Raiders, that was cool. There was some cool stuff there. There was a little flecks of gold. There were a couple gems, but, like, overall, yeah, it was just God, he was just like I felt like he was just kinda like a bum. Like, I don't know. Like, they kinda had to I guess they had to have See, and somebody made a really good argument that I heard is like what they were gonna do with the Mandalorian, like the Mandalorian should have been about Boba Fett. It should have been, and I I agree. It should have been, and I think that was the problem. I guess it's not totally 100% Disney's fault because I do know what was gonna happen. They were gonna make a Boba Fett movie, and then that fell through, and I guess they felt like they still had to do something with Boba Fett because Mandalorian was such a huge hit. But yeah, both. That's one of my favorite characters. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed. I had hope at first. Like I said, at the beginning, it was kind of like with Obi-Wan. I had the same kind of. I'm tired of being burned because it always comes out of the gate strong. Disney, I'll give them that. They come out of the gate pretty strong, and then it just peters out. It just totally peters out. I felt like Obi-Wan did that, and I felt like Boba Fett pretty much did that too. Like it started out really strong, and then it just totally just petered out. So I agree with you, Nephilim, totally. I go back to the original books. Yeah, whenever I'm feeling negative. Yeah, that's me. That's totally me. And that's and if you guys want to talk about this, I mean, this my journey back to the I've always been an EU guy, but I'll admit I kind of wavered there for a while. I got out of it, in my 20s. I was in college and stuff. I didn't have time to read or anything. But you know, when The Last Jedi came out, that kinda brought me back into the fold of the EU. I was like I was so disenfranchised 'cause I was like you with I was like 'cause Luke's my favorite character, so and I was pissed. I was really mad. So, that's what I did. I kinda just went, "You know what? I'm just gonna go back to the books. Screw it. I'm just gonna I'm gonna reread Thrawn trilogy," and I hadn't finished NJO, so I'm like, "You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna read through everything, and then I'm gonna read the NJO and everything else." And that's where I'm at. And I'm still reading. I haven't read everything yet. I've read everything. I've read the main like storyline, but there's plenty of little gaps that I need to go back and read. Like I haven't read Crystal Star. There's stuff I haven't read. So, but yeah, that's how I am. But I think it's I just don't even bother really engaging with the Disney canon anymore. I really don't. Don't even know if I'm gonna bother with Ahsoka. I don't even know. I'm really on the fence if I'm even gonna bother. I don't even know. I'm so, like, disenfranchised with Disney Star Wars. Playing of Thrones, Revenge, EAW mod. Oh, yeah, Empire War. I need to finish that. I'm man, I'm usually good at RTSs, but for some reason, I just suck at that game. I don't know what it is. Like, there's a lot of micromanaging. I'm, like, a really kinda, like I'm a pretty crappy RTS player, I'll admit it. I'll admit I need to get better at RTSs and go back and try to finish that. Playing the Thrawn sorry, I'll read what you said. Playing with Thrawn's Revenge EAW mod, I have sorta hit the snowballing point. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, I wish there was more mods for, like, FPS games and, like I remember when Jedi Knight 2 and Jedi Academy came out, there's a really big, here. There's a really big modding scene for those games. I remember man, I miss those days. I spent so many hours, like, just messing around and Jedi Knight 2 and Jedi Academy, just screwing around with, like, skins and, like, maps, and even people made, like, single player mods. People made single player mods for those. They were pretty awesome. Man, I should go back and, like, install some of that stuff and just for, like, nostalgia and play some of those mods. I played through those games so many freaking times. Those were, like man, those games were my childhood, man. Jedi Knight 2 and Jedi Academy, and Jedi Knight 1 too. I like all of them, but I've been enjoying the AC Crispin Han Solo trilogy. You need to start the last book. Yeah, I just got the last one of those. I was missing. That was one of the last few Bantam books I was missing. I could never find it in decent shape. Like I kept finding it at thrift stores. It was the Hut Gambit, I think. I couldn't find it forever, and I found it a couple places, and it was in like horrible shape. And I finally found a copy in a decent condition. I was at a Half Price Books a couple months ago and I finally found it, and I think that was the last Bantam book I was missing. I have every single Bantam book now, every single one now. So finally finished my Bantam collection. I'm missing Del Rey. Now I got some Del Reys I'm missing, probably maybe a couple handfuls. but finally done. But yeah, I've heard good things. I have not read them. That's another gap. Um, yeah, I need to read those. I've heard they're very good. I've read the Brian Daley ones. I like the Brian Daley Han Solo trilogy. I like the Lando books. So yeah, I'm sure I'll enjoy them. This mod puts it in the Bantam era, everything from truce to the treaty. Oh, awesome. That's cool. Like I said, I need to get some more RTS games under my belt. When I get some more RTS games under my belt and get less crappy at them, I'll play through that. Because yeah, I've heard there's really good. There's NJO mods too. Isn't there? I remember seeing like there's NJO stuff. There's some really awesome mods for Empire War. When I get into that, man, I will feast like a hut. Um, because yeah, there's Thrawn stuff, there's NJO, and there's other stuff. There's Clone Wars. There's like pretty much every era in there. From I've kind of dabbled in it a little bit, like looked at pictures and stuff, and I've gone to ModDB and just looked at some of the mods. And yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. But yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. I don't know if anybody else wants to come with any questions or anything, but I don't know. Yeah. Trying to add the Vong, but the existing Vong mod is pretty meh. Okay, so it's not that good. No, I thought it was pretty good. Hmm. I don't know. I'll keep my eyes open. I'll keep tabs on it. But yeah, I know the Thrawn one's kind of like the go-to one. I know that's like the one everybody recommends. Is Thrawn Ascendancy or something like that. I don't remember. That has a name. But yeah, I'll check that out for sure. Awesome. I'm just I was a Command and Conquer guy. That's the only RTS I can really get into is Command and Conquer. I don't know what it is. That's the only one I do not suck at. And I know it's like a lot of them. I don't know, in the RTS world, I think they're considered pretty easy, and maybe that's why, but I don't know. Even you know what though, even the harder ones, I don't know what it is that for some reason Command and Conquer, I don't I can just roll I can just stop everybody in that game. I don't know what it is. That's the only RTS I'm really good at. I played other RTSs and I'm kinda like so-so at. I'm trying to think some other RTSs I played, like Age of Empires, I suck. I suck at Age of Empires, I don't know what it is. I can Age of Empires 1 I'm okay at, and then, like, I don't know, 2 and 3 I just suck. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm more of an FPS, like, um I do like Command& and Conquer a lot, though. I don't know what it is. I can play Command& and Conquer like crazy. That's the only one for some reason. I don't know. I like the base building RTSs, maybe that's what it is. I've played a couple other base building RTSs, and I don't think Empire War is a base building RTS. It's isn't it? It's different. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It's different, and I'll have to adapt. I'll have to try it. I've tried it a little bit. I have tried Empire War. I kind of suck at it. I'll admit. I need to spend more time with it. Ugh. But yeah, Vongs. I wish there were more Vong mods. Like that's oh man, if I was able to mod stuff, like that was something actually back in the day I wanted to do because there were a few mods Vong skins in for Jedi Knight 2 and Jedi Academy, but barely any. And there were nobody made maps or like man, I feel like there's so much potential there. There's so much stuff they could do with NJO. Such a missed potential. What's your favorite era in the Star Wars timeline? Yeah, I was asked this for one of the last times. Post RTJ, if we're just being like blunt generic. Specifically New Republic, NJO. That's my favorite era. If you're doing the old breakdown, they used to break it down. It was yeah, New Republic. It was New Classic era, right, Rebellion era, New Republic, and then NJO. So I would say New Republic, NJO tied. So that's my favorite era. And then I do like Old Republic a lot. That's number three. That would be my number three. I would say New Republic. It's tough. I'm gonna say New Republic, and NJO tied, then Old Republic, and then number two, and then Clone Wars number 3. Clone Wars era number 3. I really like Total War, Empire at War, yeah, EAW, and Dawn of War 1. Yeah, I don't know. I need to. I know I need to get into more RTSs. I'm really. I've tried. I think I've tried Empire at War. I think I tried Empire at War, and I just suck at it, man. I don't know. I just suck at RTSs really bad. I need to. I guess I just need to practice or whatever, but I don't know what it is. Command and Conquer is the only one that clicks with me. That's the only one. CNC. I played every single CNC game, all of them. I played the original games, all the Red Alert games. Red Alert 2 and 3, or sorry, Red Alert 2 is amazing, man. Red Alert 2 is incredible. If you have not played Red Alert 2, you don't have to play the other ones. Red Alert 2 is amazing. I love Red Alert 2. I just replayed that like a year or two ago, and it still holds up. It's still amazing. Any of those early Westwood games, like all the Westwood games still hold up. Any RTS where you build infantry one man at a time kills me. StarCraft, Warcraft. Oh yeah, so you don't like Command and Conquer then, I'm assuming. You can queue it up though, you can queue them and stuff, but I get what you're saying, yeah. Um, I did, you know what? I used to like StarCraft. I did play StarCraft. I never played Warcraft. But I tried to go back and play Warcraft, or I tried to go back and play through StarCraft, and yeah, I don't know, it's too slow. Yeah, I think I kind of get what you're saying, I guess. Command and Conquer doesn't feel as slow for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what it is. For some reason, it feels more like it's faster paced. So maybe that's what it is. Because I can still play those. I can play those, but for some reason, yeah, StarCraft and Warcraft and stuff, yeah, it's too slow. I mean, if that's, I think maybe that's what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's really tedious. I can't do it anymore. I was trying to play through Warcraft. I mean, I could maybe do it maybe when I have more time. Maybe it's just because I don't have a lot of time now. But yeah, I kind of know what you mean. Because yeah, it's tedious. And yeah, the older I'm getting, I don't I could tedious stuff like that, I could sit and do. I can't do it as much anymore. The older I'm getting, I'd rather play shooter. Like shooters I can always play. I can still I'm playing through Quake 2. I'm playing the remaster. I don't know if you guys have played that. They just released like a remaster of Quake 2 and I'm loving it. I'm having it's great. It's amazing. Quake 2 still holds up. I mean all those id games still hold up, but there's something about shooters, like at least with me. Shooters, I can always play shooters even when I'm like when I'm bored of video games, like because I've kind of been in a little bit of a video game slump lately. Like I don't know, nothing's really clicking with me right now. Like I've tried to play, I've been playing through Dragon Age, and it's just like it's a good game. It is. It's like it's a great FPS or RPG, but it's I don't know. It's just like man, it's just slow. It's like it just takes forever to get anything done, and it's just like I don't know. It's just maybe it's just because I don't have patience or stuff like that as much anymore. But I don't know. I just kind of like I'm enjoying it sort of, but I have to take long breaks from it. I don't know. I'll play for a few hours, and then I have to take a break from it for a while because I just get burned out on it. But like an FPS, I can always pop in an FPS like Quake or Doom or um whatever anything like that. I can just pop them in and just play them or turn them on whatever turn them on and just play them and not get bored of them. I don't know what it is. There's something about that because I guess it's this the simplicity of it. I guess you're just shooting things and just running through corridors and there's just nothing. There's no BS. There's no filler really or anything. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I've always kind of been like that though. I'm not. I don't like filler like in anything in books in games and movies and I mean there's a place for filler. There is sometimes it has a place sometimes, but like 90% of the time I don't like it. I don't like filler. It's just padding. Like I don't like padding and stuff like RPGs. That's why I don't play a lot of RPGs because a lot of RPGs it's just padding. It's just you just grind and grind. It's just there so you grind and grind and grind and level up. So that so you can beat the boss or whatever. It's just man. And again, maybe it's my age. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. Maybe that I think that's part of it. I just don't have the time to just sit there and just grind anymore. Like, if I'm gonna grind something, I'd rather just like, if I'm gonna do something tedious, I'd rather, you know, work on something, like do an audiobook or for you guys or, something to work, get work done, something like that. I've been in a video gaming slump too. I've been mostly into co-op games lately, like Borderlands or Monster Hunter. Yeah, yeah. I used to like Borderlands a lot. I used to like Borderlands. Yeah, I don't think I can play it anymore though. I don't know, it's too like I know I'm old, I'm losing people. I just lost somebody. I know I'm an old fart here. That's why I talk about books and not video games. Um, but yeah, I used to play co-op games with my friends. I was big into I didn't play Borderlands with my friends, but I did like Borderlands, the first one. Second one, I didn't really care for the second one. I didn't bother with the third one, but I used to play co-op games, yeah, like Army of Two. I don't know if you ever played that. That was fun. I used to play I kind of more play just played regular multiplayer games with my friends, but we play co-op games sometimes. Army of Two is just the only thing that pops into my head right now. That's dating me because that's like I think that's like almost totally forgotten. It was a third person shooter, but um yeah, I haven't played Monster Hunter. I need to play Monster Hunter. I played a demo, I think, of one of them, and it seemed pretty cool. I just never got around to it. But yeah, I'll check it out one of these days. Um, yeah, they're doing a Borderlands movie. I know I think they finished filming it. I'm just wondering what that's gonna how do you make a plot out of that? Like the plot, like the first game, it's literally just you're just trying to find a vault, and then you find the vault, and then that's it. You kill a monster, and that there's like barely any plot in that game. I don't know how the hell they're gonna do that. It's gonna be a weird movie. I mean, a little unless they just literally just make the movie like memes and stuff, because that's kind of what Borderlands sort of is. It's just me. It's just pretty much just like jokes, constant jokes and memes and stuff. Man, I don't. That's either gonna be horrible. It's either gonna be that's either gonna be really dumb, like so bad it's good, like so dumb it's good, or it's gonna just be horrible. I don't know. I have a feeling it might be so bad it's good. Maybe we'll see. I remember Army of Two didn't play Beretta, but yeah, it was fun. The first one, the second one was okay. And then I never played the third one. The third one. They made 3, and the third one bombed. I remember the first one did pretty good. The second one did okay. The third one just bombed because it came out, I think, when like the new con. It was in that weird transition period where the new consoles were coming out, and like nobody bought it because it's still only on Xbox 360 and PS3. Never got ported or anything. So it's basically like Gears. It's like Gears of War. Basically, if you play Gears of War, it's pretty much like Gears of War except with like regular soldiers, and the plot's like just like generic, like I don't know, Tom Clancy kind of stuff. But I enjoyed it. My friend and I enjoyed it for. It was kind of over the top and like cheesy, but in a good way. My friends and I kind of like that kind of stuff. So like because yeah, there were some lines that were just so stupid. Like yeah, I don't know if I am shooting get into it, but it was cheesy, but it was like good cheese. It was like 80s action movie. Like if you've seen like Commando or like stuff like that, it's basically like Commando in video game form. It's just like dudes just shooting stuff and just like saying cheesy one-liners and stuff. It's pretty funny. It's pretty fun. It's a decent game. If you ever get around to it, don't go out of your way or anything, but I keep forgetting there's gonna be a Borderlands movie. Yeah, I know, me too. I just remember now because you said Borderlands, because you mentioned that's the only reason I even remember it. Um, but yeah, they're doing a Borderlands movie. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I think it's supposed to be coming out this year, like late this year, maybe early next year. I don't know. It's been in the pod for a while. Like I think it was announced when I think around the time the game came out. That's how long it was. And I remember when that came. I was in college. Like I just started college when that game came out. It's like 2009. Yeah, I remember that. So I think yeah, because it was a pretty big hit. The first one was like a surprise hit. I know they were not expecting it to do that well. I remember reading stuff with Gearbox, and they were like kind of floored. Like they were not expecting it to do that well. It was like a surprise hit, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I really will be. Yeah, probably. It's probably gonna be horrible, but I'm trying to be optimistic and maybe hope that it's like it'll be like one of those. It'll just be like can't think of a good example, but just a movie. It's just so dumb. It's good. Like so dumb, so bad, and just so ridiculously over the top and stupid that it ends up kind of being entertaining. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's just not like just bad one-liners constantly and like maybe a couple of scenes where they shoot stuff like most movies seem to kind of do nowadays. But that's probably what it's going to be. I'm probably giving it way too much credit and being way too optimistic. I was surprised, here, I don't know, I might lose well, only one person here, but I was actually genuinely surprised with Twisted Metal. I don't know if you've seen the Twisted Metal TV show. It's not horrible. It's actually not bad. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm about halfway through it, and I actually kind of like it. Like it's cheesy and stupid and like kind of stupid, but it's Twisted Metal. It's supposed to be that way. Like it's over the top and cheesy, but I kind of like it. I don't know, it's weird. It has, like, that '90s, like maybe that's just because it has that kinda '90s cheese feel to it. It reminds me of, like, a movie from, like, the late '90s, early 2000s, which I think that's what they were going for. I don't know, I like it. And maybe it craps the bed halfway through, but because 'cause I'm only about halfway through it, but I don't know, there's something about it. I could just they tried. I can kinda tell, like, even though it has problems, it definitely has problems. I'm not gonna say it doesn't have issues. It does. It's far from, like, an amazing show or anything, but I don't know. It has that yeah, 80s, it has that. It has that, like, it kinda has that 80s, 90s cheese, more 90s, but, yeah, I don't know, there's something about it that it's it may I'm enjoying it. I need to finish it. I might try to finish that tonight, actually, 'cause I have a little bit of extra free time. I don't know. I don't know if you Nephilim or Die Ghostfish, if either one of you guys have seen it, but give it a shot. If you have Peacock or if you wanna whatever, if you have other ways of watching it. And I see, I'm not even a Twisted Metal guy. I never really played the games. I played one of them. I played Twisted Metal 2 a little bit, I think. Um, but I don't know. I'm not even a big Twist I'm not even really like a Twisted Metal person, and maybe that's helping a little bit because I'm not really invested in the but does Twisted Metal really have, like, a story? Like, I know the PS3 one, like, kinda did. Like, they kinda give you, like, some little bit of backstory about Sweet Tooth, I think. But anyway, um, I don't know. It's just my 2 cents. Maybe it gets horrible, but maybe I'm so desperate, maybe we're just so desperate, me in particular. I'm just so desperate for anything that's even, like, halfway decent now, and it's halfway decent. Been going back to older books and movies for that feeling. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do, yeah. I barely watch new stuff anymore. That's the Twisted Metal is the only new that's the only new thing I've watched in years. I barely watch anything anymore, so that's pretty much where I'm at, Nephilim. Yeah, like, the book I'm reading right now is from, like, 2000, so, yeah, I hear you. I don't have attachment to the game and find its creator really cringe. You talking about Borderlands? I'm assuming you're talking about Borderlands. If you mean, yeah, Randy Pitchford, I'm assuming is who you're talking about, yeah. Yeah, Randy Pitchford's weird. I'm not even gonna get into any of that, but, um, like I said, I liked the first Borderlands. I liked it when it came out. I played the remaster. I didn't like it as much the second time around, but it was okay. It was okay. I think it was kinda one of those, like, you had to be there kind of things, like and maybe it's just, like, I don't know. Again, I'm getting older, so I just don't feel like grinding and just sitting around and, like, just grinding for guns and stuff. I don't have the I'm not really attention span, but I just don't have the patience for that anymore. But yeah, oh, I don't know, were you talking about Twisted Metal? I don't know who the creator of Twisted Metal is. I don't know. I'm assuming you're talking about Borderlands. I don't know. Not sure what you're talking about, but, I don't know. Like I said, give it a shot. Anybody that's watching this, I know there's maybe one person watching this, but it's not horrible. It's not a horrible show. I was genuinely shocked. Borderlands is one of those game series that's more fun with friends. Yeah, it is. It's meant to be played with friends. Like, yeah, I played it solo. I don't recommend it. It's okay solo, but I don't recommend it, no. I agree. It's one of those games you should play with friends. Oh, Scott Jaffe. Oh yeah. I guess yeah, that's the Twisted guy, right? Has he gotten weird? I don't follow, sorry. I barely follow like gaming celebrities and like gaming creators. Hardly at all. So, okay. I believe you. I'm assuming, is he involved in the show? I'm assuming he's involved in the show somehow. It feels like somebody involved in the show. I don't know. Him before battle. I haven't. It's in the other room. I can go get it, I guess. Hang on, F1. I'm gonna hang on 1 second. Yeah, anyway. Him before battle. It's military SF. It's basically like it's an alien invasion novel, but it's the twist is basically there's one group of aliens that comes to Earth and says, okay, so you're gonna be invaded by these bad guys called the Paulcine, and we're here to help you. But you have to help us defend our planet. So it's kind of like I'm trying to think of how to it's like War of the Worlds, except sort of like flipped on its head, sort of. It's interesting. It's odd. It's an odd book, but it's pretty good. And I've read a little bit of John Ringo, but I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm almost done with it. So I think am I unmuted? Yeah, I'm unmuted. The infamous didn't shop Tenup in Metroid Prime was in. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Did not know that. You know what? I need to finish Metroid Prime. I never actually finished that. I know that's like considered one of the best games of all time, but I don't know. I always get like halfway through and I just never finish it. I don't know. I'm weird. because I like Iguana. I know Iguana made that. They made the Turok games, and I freaking love Turok. And it's kind of like I know it's like almost sort of a spiritual successor to Turok, to the Turok games, sort of. I need to finish it. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are still here. I'll probably let this. I'll probably end this early. I don't know. That can many people tonight, so probably let this go a little early tonight. Anyway, I'm not even really sure. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. What didn't shop up? Not really sure that what you mean by that. What books other than Star Wars you intend to read? A lot of things. I like fantasy. I like a lot of fantasy. Um, I like military SF. I like a lot of things. I like tons of different things. I read regular military fiction, like Tom Clancy. Um, shoot, I read lots of things, man. I love books, period. I'll read pretty much anything. But my go-to, if you're talking genres, are you talking genres or you mean like specific authors or if you wanna I mean, if you want me to get specific about authors, um, I like, fantasy-wise, I'm Tolkien. I love Tolkien. Tolkien's like my number one guy for fantasy. And that's like my kind of fantasy that I like. I like high fantasy if I'm gonna read fantasy. So, I don't know if you mean like, oh, okay, as you're talking here. Yeah, genres. Yeah, sci-fi fantasy. Those are like my two favorite genres by far. And then I do like thrillers. I'll read thrillers sometimes. It's not my go-to, but I'll read like techno thrillers. And if I'm gonna read a thriller, I'd read like a sci-fi thriller. Like I'd read like Michael Crichton or Tom Clancy or something like that. Like something that's kind of a little bit of a. I don't really read like regular thrillers or anything. Um, if you're talking authors, yeah, like I said, I kind of mentioned a few. I'm trying to think like Frank Herbert. I mean, most of my this is sad. Most of the authors, my favorite authors, are dead. But yeah, I like Frank Herbert. I like Tolkien. I like um, Clancy, Crichton. And then in terms of like living people, I like. Trying to think. God. Shoot. I haven't. That's the thing. Like, I God, I guess I need to start finding. Oh, Kevin J. Anderson. I like Kevin J. Anderson. I know that's like sacrilege, but I'll read any of his books. Like he just finished a trilogy of fantasy books a couple years ago, and they were great. They were like Game of Thrones, except without all the filler. There's Spine of the Dragon. I recommend it if you find it. If you ever find, I don't have them with me right now. I'd show them to you, but I recommend them if you like fantasy. Like it's like Game of Thrones, but better. It doesn't have all the filler and crap in it. Almost, yeah. That's how I am. Yeah, it's kind of sad. It's like I'm trying to find authors that are alive. Like that's kind of part of why I've been reading John Ringo because he's still alive and he writes stuff pretty consistently. So I've kind of been getting into him. He's kind of like he's like Heinlein. He's like I don't know if you know Robert Heinlein is. He's basically like Robert Heinlein. He's pretty cool. He writes pretty cool stuff. So trying to think of who else. I like David Eddings. Um, I like let's see who else here. I can trying to think. Um, I like some cyberpunk. I do like some cyberpunk, but I'm really picky with cyberpunk. I've read Gibson's stuff, and I don't even like all of his stuff. I really like Neuromancer. Neuromancer was amazing, and then even the sequel. The sequels are okay. I wasn't big on the last one, but I don't know. I like some cyberpunk. I've read some cyberpunk. I'm trying to think. Um, so William Gibson, he's good. At least his early stuff. Um, I know I've read some other cyberpunk. I'm trying to remember. I haven't read Snow Crash. I have not read that. I've heard really good things about it, but I have not read that. Um, oof. I know I've read some other cyberpunk novels, like Walter John Williams. He's written some cyberpunk. I've read some of his stuff. He's good. Um, like Hardwired. That's good. Um, I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, I don't know. I try not to pick like I try to keep my horizons kind of open. I try not to get too pigeonholed into to one thing so I can get bored because like I'll do that sometimes. I'll read a bunch of like just, I don't know. I don't get bored of high fantasy though. That's only like high fantasy and sci-fi. I can it's almost possible for me to get bored. Like I almost kind of had to force myself to stop reading it because I was worried I was going to get burned out. So I'm like, okay, I better read something else. Same thing with sci-fi. I can read sci-fi like nonstop. Never did some cyberpunk. I recommend it. I recommend Neuromancer. I really recommend Neuromancer if you ever get your hands on it. It's amazing. That book like I don't want to say it changed my life, but it's like trying to think how to explain it. It's just it makes you realize like all like so many things ripped from it. So many things took from it. The Matrix, like pretty much every like modern like anything modern that deals with computers, like it's fiction, pretty much took from it. It's great. It's amazing. And it makes you question some things like AI and especially now with the direction we're going with AI. But Gibson was like so ahead of his time, man. He was really ahead of it. He worked on a typewriter. Like he didn't know jack about computers. I don't think he hardly knew anything about computers. I think he talked with somebody, but he wrote it on a typewriter, like in his office. He didn't he just he predicted so many things. I think even like actual real world people, they took a lot of inspiration from that book. Like how the internet is how the internet's designed and some internet terms and some internet things like came from Neuromancer. It's always fun to go back to older stuff and realize how much newer books. Yeah, yeah. I got that. I had that experience with Dune a lot too. Dune. When I read Dune, man, that was Dune. I would say Dune kind of sort of almost Dune kind of changed my life a little bit because I read that. I read that at a perfect time. I read that right when I was like kind of finding myself and trying to figure out, you know, who I was. And I found that, and that like hit home with me. There's so many things in Dune that Dune hit home with me. Like just, you know, even just the thing, just the, you know, the litany of fear or whatever, that hit home with me totally. Because that's something I struggle with is fear, like being afraid, like you know, that fear is the mind killer. That's what they say in the book. You know, fear is a mind killer. It's something. It just paralyzes you, and it's right. That's true. Fear will paralyze you if you let it. And I don't know. It made me think about that a lot, and a lot of some other things. But yeah, Neuromancer to a lesser extent too, because Neuromancer kind of hit me in some different ways. More technology, maybe more think about technology more than like my own personal life. Um, but yeah. I mean, I'm getting a little too personal, getting a little personal here, but yeah, they take like like George with Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and I read Dune, and I'm like, oh my God, George clearly read Star Wars, clearly, and like, or sorry, George clearly read Dune, sorry, clearly read Dune and took stuff from it, clearly, because it's like there's so many things that are not taken from Dune. The sandworms, just Arrakis, just you know, I can go on. I've already kind of talked about it, so I don't want to get too into detail, but Lovecraft stories were that for me. Found him just yeah. I need to read Lovecraft. I need to read it. I there's a collection at Barnes and Noble for like $8. It has all of his books, and I'm gonna buy. I think I'm gonna buy it the next time I'm there. I'm gonna buy it because I want to read Lovecraft. I had a friend who was really into Lovecraft, and I just never was never able to get a hold of it for some reason. Just never found me at the right time or whatever. But yeah, I think at some point, yeah, for sure, I'm gonna buy it and read it. Yeah, definitely check it out for sure. The sequels you can give or take them or leave them. I'd probably recommend if you really liked Neuromancer a lot, like if you really dug it, like I did, I'd say go for it. Just give them a shot. But they're take them or leave them because they don't. really continue. Each book's kind of it's weird. They're standalone, but they kind of tie into each other sort of. Um, but they're pretty much all standalone. You don't have to read them. Give them a shot. Yeah, Neuromancer definitely. Like Neuromancer, to me, that's one of that's up there with Dune. Like if you're gonna read, like when I recommend sci-fi books, that's up there. I'd say Dune's number one, and then Neuromancer's probably number two. Like for sci-fi, definitely, it's up there. It's in the top. It's in the top three, top three, top five for sure. Like no question. I cannot recommend it enough. I don't even know if you're hearing enough one, but yeah, cannot recommend it enough. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I guess I'll plug my computer in here. Say something, Nephilim, if you're here, or anybody else. I don't know. I'm gonna probably let it go. I'm probably gonna end the stream here soon. So if I don't get anybody else saying anything here soon. So mm, yeah, I don't know. Nephilim, if you're still here, how many of the Doom books do you recommend? I hear mixed things about the books after one. Oof, yeah, that's tough. Um, Personally, I would recommend. Oof, it's tough. I would say the first three. Like if you just want like a concise story, the original three, just Dune, Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune. If you just want like one kind of sort of complete story, I would say that, and then quit there. And then if you want to continue on, read. Um, Most people would just tell you just to read God Emperor, the fourth one, and then quit after that. I would say you might as well just read all of them because God Emperor is kind of its own thing, and then the ones after that, or the two after that are connected. From Heretics and Heretics of Dune and what's the last one? Chapter House are both those are both connected. But then Frank was going to do one last one, and then he died, so it ends on a cliffhanger. So if that's my only caveat. I would say don't read the last two. If you hate cliffhangers, that'll never get resolved. Because Frank died, and I know there are continuation novels like Kevin J. Anderson and stuff wrote continuation novels, but they're really hit or miss. Like I'm a Kevin J. Anderson fan, and even I'll admit like they're really hit or miss. Some are okay, and some are bad. Some are just bad. So I would just say just read the first three, like first three, and then just quit. And if you really want more, you might as well just read all of them. Just read all the anything that says Frank Herbert on it. Just read those, and then um, just be done there. And if you really, really, really want like closure, then read the Kevin J. Anderson novels. But I'll admit, I I tentatively recommend them. I would recommend them only if you're like if you get into doing you're like really, really get sucked into it, then yeah, go ahead. Just read everything and read all the Kevin J. Anderson novels. But um yeah, that first one's the best. The first one's the best by far. Like the first one's amazing. The original Dune's amazing, and then this each I hate to say this, but each sequel gets slightly worse. each one gets a little worse. Like it's like first one's amazing, incredible. Then Messiah is like great, this is still really good, and then Children's like okay, this is good, but I'm starting to lose some quality here. And then God Emperor is good, and but you're kind of going, this is getting weird because there's weird stuff like this. That's when like Frank does some weird stuff, man. I don't know. Do you want me to get into detail? I don't know if you want me to spoil some things, but there's some weird stuff, man. In some of those later, especially those last two books, man, and even sort of the fourth one at some points is are weird, man. There's some weird stuff. Like even for Dune, it's weird by Dune standards, and Dune's already a little weird. Haven't heard good things about. Yeah, there most people don't recommend them. I'm a Kevin J. Anderson fan though, and I'll sort of recommend them. Like I would say if you're like if you read the Frank novels and you're just like you cannot get enough, like I would say go for it because I read some of them and they're hit or miss. Some are good, some are bad, some are just okay. I don't know. That's my recommendation is just use your own judgment. Like I said, but most people will tell you just read the Frank books. And most people even tell you don't actually, a lot of people won't even tell you to read all the Frank books, but I'd recommend all the just read them. I mean, if you're enjoying it, like if you're enjoying it, just keep going, just keep reading it. That's kind of how I was. So they get weird. I'll admit the last couple books were a little bit of a struggle because they get really weird and like I don't know the quality dips. Like Frank, I could tell Frank was like kind of running out of ideas already himself. So that sort of thing happened with Robert E. Howard's Conan. Lots of authors continued to stories idea. Yeah, yeah, that happens all the time. It's still happening. It's happening with a lot of my favorite authors. Tom Clancy. They still slap his name on stuff on every book that comes out. They have 2, 3 books that come out every year that say Tom Clancy on them, and he's been dead for 10 years now, decade. So Michael Crichton, the same thing. They're doing. He's even got another one. He's got one coming out. No, not him, obviously, but his estate or whatever, and somebody else is writing it. So yeah, it happens every day still. Gotta milk that, try to milk that cow still. There's money to be made. So yeah, Robert Jordan, yeah. Yeah, they're still milking his name. The Brandon Sanderson even though, yeah, most people say Brandon Sanderson saved Wheel of Time, which I've not finished. So I don't know if you want to talk about Wheel of Time sometime, we can talk about it. I've only read the first couple books. I'm nowhere near finished with that. God, that's gonna take forever. Man, Man, that's a long series, and I like it, but God, it just drags. It's so freaking drawn out. I wish there was like an abridged. I'm tempted to like see if they're find or make an abridged version of that because it's just there's way too much padding. I like Robert Jordan and I like Wheel of Time, but oh my God, there's so much padding. God, those books have a lot of padding. I'm sorry, I don't know, Nephilim, if you're like a huge Wheel of Time fan, but I like them. I'm not gonna dumb on them. I do. I like them. There's just a lot of padding. There's just so much padding. I have more of a sword and sorcery. Yeah, I can see that. I like both. I like both. They're both good. They're both great. I like high fantasy. I'm a Tolkien because I grew up with Tolkien. I grew up my age, I was gonna date me, but I grew up when the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies were coming out. That was pretty much my introduction to fantasy. Like that was in what yeah, that was a great introduction because those movies are amazing. But yeah, that was my introduction to fantasy was the Peter Jackson adaptations, and then I read the books because I like the movie so much, and I like the books even more. The books are even better, and that got me into fantasy. Was so I started at the top there, which can kind of sort of be almost kind of a handicap. And I kind of want to talk about somebody with this. I'll probably let you go here soon, but it kind of almost kind of sucks starting out at the top because like I read Tolkien and it's like everybody just copies Tolkien. Everybody. Like it's hard. It's hard. And I can shut my brain off and like read because I'm reading through the Aragon books right now and they're just so like they're really clearly just like they're just it's Lord of the Rings light pretty much, like almost exactly. And I can shut my brain off. But like even like really a lot of books are just literally just Tolkien ripoffs. It's hard to and sometimes I have trouble with it. I don't know, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. There's times where I can just kind of shut my brain off and just enjoy it. And then there's times where I'm like, man, this is just Tolkien light. It's hard to you have to like it's hard to explain. It's like you gotta like retrain your brain sort of. But you know, it's weird though. I don't know. Usually I can read it. I don't know what it is. I can read Tolkien ripoffs more than I can read like ripoffs of other people's books. Even because even Tolkien Light is still good. I don't know what it is. Token Light is still is it's like it's hard to explain. It's like gold when you I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I can't think of one. It's like gold, I guess. Like when you melt gold down and you mix it with other metals, there's still gold in there. Like it's still gold. It just has other metals mixed in it. I mean, that's a good. I don't know. It's kind of a weird analogy, but like maybe that's kind of what I mean. Sort of. Somebody. There's a better analogy. Somebody said something like, I remember reading something that somebody said, fantasy is a mountain, and Tolkien's at the top. Like he's standing on top of the mountain, and you're either looking up at the mountain or you're if you can't see the top of the mountain, you're on the mountain. Basically, like pretty much everybody's looking up at Tolkien, like he's standing on top of the fantasy mountain, and everybody else is just kind of looking up at him. Which I agree with that. I don't think anybody's surpassed him. Some people say George R. R. Martin. I disagree totally. I totally disagree with that. I think he comes close. Like I think he comes really close, but no, sorry. I think Tolkien's still at the top of the fantasy mountain. I don't think anybody's dethroned him. Maybe somebody will, probably sooner or later. Probably somebody will. But I don't know. He just hit it out of the park. Like he can't I feel like you can't beat that. Like you can't beat perfection. It's like pretty much perfect. Lord of the Rings is perfect. Almost. It's extremely close. It's not quite perfect, but it's so close. Oh my God, it's close. It's about as close as you get to like a perfect fantasy story. That Wheel of Time is super long. Yeah, it's super long. It needed to be trimmed down. I remember reading, yeah, it was supposed to be like 6 books. It should have stayed 6 books. Sorry. Sorry, Robert. I mean, no, rest in peace. But Robert, why did you do that? Why did you, if you had made it 6 books, I'd have been all over it, man. I'd probably finished it by now if it had been 6 books and he had trimmed it down. Even if he hadn't, I could probably get through it as it was 6 super long books. God dang, it's just too long, man. Way too many books. And this is coming from me. I can sit and read for hours. And even for me, that's too much. Never read them. Okay, yeah. You're in my boat then. Well, sort of. I read a couple of them. First couple. That quote sounds like Terry Pratchett. Maybe it might be him. I don't know. I think it was a fantasy author that said that. Yeah, he said. I'll have to look it up. It's a good quote. It's something like that. Like fantasy is a mountain, and if you're either looking up at the mountain or you're on the mountain, but you're somewhere. Tolkien's at the top. He's up there at the very top, and you're either at the bottom or you're somewhere on the mountain looking up at him. I agree with it. I agree with that, and that's funny coming from him because clearly, he was a fantasy author, and I think George R. R. Martin gets cocky. I think he gets cocky because I don't know. I've heard different things from him though. I don't know. He respects Tolkien. I know he does, but I don't know. I think it's weird that people like I think it's people just George R. R. Martin's books are great. I'm not saying they're not. I don't personally care for them, but I can see the merit of them. Definitely. I don't personally care for them, but I can see the merit for sure. Totally. Totally. Um, but just no, sorry. No, nobody's dethroned Togan yet in my book yet. People come close. People come very close. Like I think Robert Jordan comes close. Like again, like the trim. If he had trimmed it all down, he if he had trimmed all that down into 3, 4, 5 books, I would say he came extremely close. Very close. Very, very close. Most post-Token Fantasy doesn't appear in him for me lately, so I've been reading pre-Token Fantasy. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. I probably need to do that. I need to do that because yeah, everybody just copied Token. Man, yeah. After him, man, everybody taught. And like I said, most of it, a lot of it is good. A lot of it's good. Like I said, you can a copy of a masterpiece is still a masterpiece. It's a copy of it, but it's still a master. It's still it can have merit. It can have maybe I shouldn't say that. It's not a good analogy, but like it's like somebody inspired by a masterpiece can still write draw something that's beautiful. Like the David Eng's books. I like David Eng's books. They're just token like knockoffs, but there's beauty there. There is. Same thing with Aragon. Like people make raps on Aragon, but it's a fun. It's like there's beauty there. There can be beauty there. It's just a story about a kid and his dragon. I know it's a child's, it's YA or whatever. It's a kid's story, but it's just a story about a boy and a dragon, and that there can be beauty in simplicity. I think people overlook that. I think people like because like The Hobbit is amazing. It's a masterpiece to me. It's a child's book. It's a kid's book, and it's amazing. And it's amazing in its simplicity to me. It's very simple. It's just a guy that wanted to go on an adventure with his friends with his friend. I just I think people forget that simplicity can be beautiful in its in a way. Yeah, it's a kid book. I totally missed it. I totally missed it. I saw the crappy movie. I saw the movie when I was a kid. Yeah, I saw the movie, and that just like soured me on it because the movie was just garbage. And I read the book. I read the book a few years ago, and I enjoyed it. It's simple. Yeah, it's very simple, and it's like I don't know. There's something about it. I don't know. It's. I'm trying to think. It's like hanging out with an old buddy. It's like an old friend. Like you go back to like your old neighborhood, and maybe he just never really like moved forward much in life. He's kind of like still lives at home or whatever, but you feel kind of bad for him. But you hang out with him, and like it makes you feel, you kind of reminisce on old times. It just makes you feel like it's just comfortable. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good analogy, but it's just I don't know. It's just simple. And sometimes you need that. Yeah, Dragon Rise. I need to finish that. I read the first one. I read the Dragonflight. I need to finish that. That was great. I started reading that, and I was really enjoying that. I need to finish that. I've got so many things I need to finish. I'll do that. Sometimes I'll jump around. Like I don't normally read like trilogies and stuff like all right at once. Sometimes I do, but normal a lot of times I'll jump around. Like I'll read one book and then I'll jump to something else, and then I'll kind of jump around and come back to it. But yeah, oh yeah, Dragon Rise of Pern. Because yeah, Anne McCaffrey wrote it. She wrote a thing in Aragon. I remember in my copy of Aragon, it says she wrote a little thing. Um, she said like she said she enjoyed it. She enjoyed Aragon a lot. I'm sure Christopher Pliny was like probably over the moon about that. I would have been. Yeah, those are my comfort. I'm assuming you're talking about Dragon Rise of Pern. You're talking about Aragon. Either one. They're both good. I mean, Dragon Rise of Pern is better. It's more intricately written and stuff. Yeah, I agree. Too many books. Too many books. Totally agree. It's a good thing. It's a good problem to have though. Like that's one thing, and I've been talking about this with different people, but that's the one good thing to me about like most people not reading anymore is you get books for nothing now. Like if you like physical, I prefer physical books. If you like physical books, people just give you books, man. Like I went to this library, um, book sale, and I didn't even charge me. They just let me have them. I'm like, you don't have to pay for these, and she goes, yeah, just take them. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. It's a problem though. It becomes a problem because then you collect too many books. I have a little bit of that problem. I got too many books. Man, I remember when I was a kid, man, books were so expensive when I was a kid. That's like one of the few things that's gotten cheaper is books. Books are so cheap now. Like used books you get for nothing, for pennies or free. I love it. I love it. One of the few good things about the modern world, the modern age we're living in right now, computers and everything being electronic. Nobody cares about paper books anymore. Nobody wants them, and I'm there to take them. I'm there to grab them from people that don't want them, and give them a nice home. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah, man. If I ever like, man, I'm hoping someday I'm able to like have like a study, like have a library, and I'll just have books, I'll just have shelves and shelves of books. I'm hoping someday I can do that. So, man, I don't know. I can talk about books all night long, but I probably should let you go. Nothing. If you're the only, I'm assuming you're the only guy in here. I'd like to talk more, but it's getting late and I got stuff to do. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm a nerd, so like, yeah, that's like one of my dreams is just having a room just full of books. Man, I have a little slice of it right here, but this is just Star Wars. I got way more than just Star Wars. Trust me, I got too many books that I don't even know what to do with all of them. So I don't know. I'll probably leave it at that unless you got something else pressing enough one that you want to talk about or something you want to ask me real quick here before I let you go. So okay. Thanks for chatting with me. Have a good night. Of course. And you have a good night too, Devlin. But yeah, come back anytime. I plan on doing this sporadically. This was just spur of the moment. So I'm probably not gonna plan these. I don't know. I don't know, maybe I should to give people some warning. But anyway, yeah, I'll be back at some point and keeping the audiobooks going. So enjoy. And yeah, good night. And may the force be with you always.